Hey, what's up, Closer Nation? It's Ryan Stewman, and look, I want to give you my latest book for free. It's called Elevator to the Top. It's been a bestseller across 15 different lists, including Amazon, different categories, all sorts of websites. You're going to love it. It's all about sales, everything that you need to know about sales from day one to retirement. It's actionable. It's not feel good, motivational stuff. It's actionable things that you can put into place and obviously close more sales as a byproduct of that. So simply go over to elevatortothetop.com and get the book for free. Just pay for the stamps to get it to your house. Read the book, do what it says, and you will close more sales. Again, elevatortothetop.com. Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. Trying to sound like low energy Robert over here. What's up? I'm your host, Ryan Stewman, founder of hardcorecloser.com. And listen, this podcast is for you. I mean, after all, that's why you're here, right? But it's all about helping you close more deals, listen, whether you sell cars, home, financial services, consulting, coaching, whether you're a dentist, a lawyer, a doctor, a plastic surgeon, or a brain surgeon, or a dude that shovels driveways and you're looking for a way to find more people to shovel driveways for. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters what you do. Don't get me wrong on that, right? It's very important what you do because you're a salesperson. But other than that, this show is for you because I'm going to help teach you throughout all these podcasts, right? Especially this one today is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to teach you how to generate better leads, how to increase your closing ratios, and show you how to charge premium fees so that you can get paid what you're worth. I believe that the salesperson is grossly underpaid. Can I get an amen if you believe that as well? So, hey, check it out. This is episode 43 we're on here. And the THC podcast, 43 deep, y'all. How about that? But look, I'm glad you're here. If this is your first time, be sure to check out previous episodes. I don't know when you're listening to this, but there's at least 42 others. Logic and math would say that there's at least 42 others somewhere in the iTunes store, probably a few commercials as well. Anyway, but enjoy those. Make sure you go back. You're going to love the show today. Go back and catch other stuff. There's gold in every single one of those shows. I know it's kind of weird when like you're the artist to say that your shit's good because then people are like, oh, listen to this guy. Look, fuck, it's good. I wouldn't put it out here if it sucked, right? It didn't make any sense. Hey, how about I make a bunch of shit that's so good and give it to the public, right? We got politicians for that kind of stuff, right? But if you've listened for a while, if this is not your first time, if you've been around, you're 43 deep with us. Look, I need you to give me a review. I need you to go over to iTunes and give me a review. And listen, this isn't about an ego thing. This isn't about me wanting to like be needy and be all over iTunes. This has a very specific purpose. I ask you for these reviews for a very specific purpose. It goes like this. I'm on a mission to reach and help and affect 300 million salespeople. And one of the ways that I do that is through this free podcast. I don't charge you guys to listen to this podcast. I barely sell anything on here. I'm trying to give you a free damn book in the beginning. And all this consumes my time. It takes my energy. But the reason I do it is because I truly do care and I want to help 300 million people. And one of the ways to do that through this podcast is for people like you, good old citizens like yourself, to go to the iTunes store and hit the review button. Give me 5 stars. Leave your information because, listen, it's like SEO for the front page of Google. You do certain things. You wind up on the front page of Google. Everything's awesome. The same thing. If you guys leave me a bunch of reviews on iTunes on the podcast, then I'll get on the front page of the podcast thing. More people can see me. I can help more people. They can get results from listening to me just like you have. So it's bigger than just like, hey, man, give me a review from my ego. I'm trying to get some ego reviews here. I'm trying to help people. And I need your help in order to do that. Just like Trevor Mellon here. Trevor says, a solid podcast, gave me 5 stars. He said, every show has great content. No rainbows and butterflies BS. Best sales and motivational podcast yet. So I appreciate that, Trevor Mellon. And you know what I also appreciate is Robert, man. He's finally finding people with normal fucking names. We went through, 40 episodes of, Mega Man Titliker 2000 is our fucking reviewer and shit like that. And it's like, Buddha Man 420, like all these damn tag names. Like, one thing is, we know that they were for sure salespeople. There was no denying that, right? The handles there were only as creative as salespeople could be. So anyway, let's jump into the episode. Listen, I want to talk to you today about how to use suggestive selling to close more sales. And a lot of people don't realize this, but we speak 2 languages. And I learned this, a long time ago from, through sales books and sales training videos and stuff like that. But last year, or maybe it was even this year, I went out to see a friend of mine, Marshall Silver, perform his seminar down in Houston, Texas. And he invited me down there, and I was his special guest. It was awesome. And Marshall, if you're not familiar with him, he's been doing seminars for decades now, and he is the foremost authority when it comes to hypnosis. And I was invited to check out Marshall's event because he's like, hey, man, I know you're the hardcore closer and you're good at sales and stuff, but you ain't got shit on me. And he's like, he didn't say it that mean. He's a very nice guy. He didn't say it in the same manner, but that's what he was basically saying. He's like, you can come watch what I do. It's magic. And it's funny they use the word magic. A lot of people have like, oh, this is magic or ninja or whatever. Like he truly is a magician. He's a hypnotist, a magician. He had his own show in Vegas. Like he was a big deal. He's been on 2020 and Barbara Walters and all this stuff. Like he's a big deal and has been for a long time. So I go down to Houston. I want to learn from this guy. He's a master salesperson. This guy's got his shit together. Right, this dude is a master closer, and I want to go down and learn from him. So I'm there watching it, and I'm not so much taking in the personal development seminar, but I'm watching what Marshall's doing. And at the end of day 2, it was like a 3-day seminar. At the end of day 2, Marshall and I went out to dinner, just the two of us together. You see, Marshall has a private jet, so and he could just leave whenever the hell he wanted to. So he had dinner with me before he left. And I drove down to Houston. It's about a 3-hour drive. It didn't make much sense to fly. You got to be at the airport and all that other stuff. You might as well just drive down there. So I drove. It could leave at my leisure as well. So we had dinner together and we got to talking about sales and stuff like that. And he's like, oh man, that's really what I'm into more than anything else. That's what got me into this. And this is what I love doing. And he went over all this stuff. And it was at that point I asked him, I said, I have this theory. I said, I don't know anything about hypnotism or any stuff like that, but I have this theory that we speak 2 languages. And like we have the vocal language, like you're hearing now, but we also speak a body language. And our senses, we have a 6th sense that picks up. Our eyes and our ears pick up on the body language. And oftentimes salespeople, they can't close deals because they are not in alignment with those 2 languages. A lot of politicians they practice this day in and day out because they lie for a living. Let's just get real, right? But they practice making sure that their head nods with the words that they're using and things like that. And so I got to talking to Marshall about all these suggestive selling techniques. And I was so intrigued, man. I started buying books written by FBI negotiators. People, I read a book called What Every Body Is Saying. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's really awesome. It talks about like if you're doing face-to-face or door-to-door sales, or if you work at a car dealership or a bank where people come in and they negotiate and sit down at a table with you or whatever the case may be. It's a great book, What Every Body Is Saying. And so I started really getting into this whole suggestive selling thing, not to be, and I shouldn't even have to say this, but I'm going to because the media fucks it up for all of us, but not to be manipulative in a bad way, but to be manipulative. You see, most people have made a staggering amount of stupid ass decisions their entire life. And they're so used to making stupid decisions that when a good decision arises upon them, they flock to the stupid side of the decision and will run away from the good decision. It's because a lot of us don't think we're worthy of what it is that we're getting. It's too good to be true, man. I don't believe that shit, right? Like we know all this happens on a regular basis. And so you have to use some level of manipulation to get people to make the right decision. I believe if you sell something, and me and Ben Settle were talking about this yesterday on the phone. It's like if you're selling something and you believe it's the best, and you know that it solves a specific problem, and you know that the results are there and every reason they should buy from you, you're the best. You're fucking asshole if you're not doing everything you can to close people. If you know, and this is the thing, I have this Dream 25 list. It's 25 people that I want to do business with in 2016. I got like 20 of them. And hey, you know what? It's a pretty damn good closing ratio if you ask me. And the other 5, they're not dead yet. They're still around in 2017. I just have to add 20 more people on top of them and keep prospecting those 5. But the thing is, when I set out with this list of people, these are people that I know will benefit from my services. These are people that I know that I can help. These are people whose life I am 100% confident that I can enhance the quality of their life, and I'm not going to leave them alone until they buy. Now, they might be annoyed by me, and they might say, every time Ryan come around, motherfucker won't get in my pocket, shit like that. It's because I want them to win. I want them to win. That's it. I'm building and scaling this business so that I can help more people win from a higher level. That's it, right? But anyway, so back to suggestive selling. So I'm going to go over some stuff today that you can use, and it works. So you can use face-to-face sales, door knock, all that stuff. But don't think that it doesn't work on the phone or through the internet. or even through text messages or audio like you're listening right now. Like you hear the words coming out of my mouth, you can tell that my body language, just because we have this sixth sense, you can tell my body language is in alignment with what I'm saying here. You probably picture me right now with my arms flailing everywhere, just like I do in the videos. And, the good news for me is I gave up on lying a long time ago, so I don't have anything to hide. I've told my whole story. I've bared my soul for the world, the judge, and everything else. So it's easy for me to connect my body language and my mouth. But a lot of people act confident, walk and talk confident, but their body language shows that they are weak and timid, and they don't even realize it. And what happens is that you could be sitting there talking to the prospect, and they're watching you, and they're believing every word you say, but in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, something's not right. And they don't know what it is because it's their subconscious, that sixth sense, saying, hey, man, this sounds good, but shit don't look right. I was talking to a gentleman named Carl White the other day, and he was saying that he charges $397 or something like that for a seminar. And I was like, why don't you just have people show up for free? And he goes, because if you show up for free, they think it's a trick. And he goes, if you charge $397, it's just enough to where it might be real. It's weird how we have to do things like that, right? But anyway, so one of the things that, the first thing we'll talk about is the head nod. Okay, so when you're talking to somebody, if you are saying the word yes and you're shaking your head no, I can't even do it. I'm trying. It's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. I can't even do it. But if you're shaking your head yes and you're saying no, or vice versa, or if you're saying it's, I've got this handled, but you're pointing your head towards, you can say, I've got this handled, and you're shaking your head no. Or if you are, like the customer picks up on these little body language subtleties. And it's because we all have this sixth sense. It's called an amygdala, right? It's like the fight or flight mechanism. Back in the day, here's the woolly mammoth out on the plain. The lonely caveman sneaks out of the rock-covered cave, leaves his wife and little hairy cave babies that look like apes behind, goes out into the wild plain. The woolly mammoth spots his ass, and it's a, we'll get that motherfucker today, right? Like, we don't have that anymore. Now we wake up and we see some dude called us a douchebag on Facebook, and we get all bent out of shape. Evolution's a bitch, right? But the thing is, the reason why I tell you that is because people like their sixth sense is like it takes over. And they say that we have if you Google it in the Google, y'all heard of that, right? If you actually Google it, I believe there's like 12 senses we actually have, but we only know about 5 of them, and they're only taught about 5 of them in school. What is it? Sound, sight, hearing, smell, and touch. I believe those are the 5. Well, there's a sixth sense. There's all sorts of let me red pill you guys, right? There's all sorts of sensory mechanisms inside the brain. And there is an article that I read. I'm not trying to get too deep on you guys, but let me give you a little bit of a red pill here. There's a part of the brain that is very calcified due to the foods that we eat and everything else, that if we ate all natural and didn't cook our food and stuff like that, it's called the pineal gland. Damn it took me a minute, but it came to me. And so inside this pineal gland, this is like our sixth sense. But the more you smoke cigarettes, the more you do cocaine, the more you get caught up in eating shit food and everything else, the more calcified this pineal gland inside your head becomes. I believe that's where it's at. Don't judge me. I'm not a fucking doctor, okay? I'm a sales guy. But anyway, so this pineal gland gets calcified, but the pineal gland is paired with the amygdala, it's like that sensor for fight or flight. Something's not right. And so when you're nodding your head no and you're saying yes, that pineal gland on behalf of your prospect is like, dude, no, something's not right here. And it's likened to the same as, man, is that a fucking woolly mammoth over there? Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? So practice in the mirror. Here's the solution. First of all, if you don't believe in what you're selling and you lie to customers, you're an asshole. Cut that off. You're not a salesperson. You're a con artist. That's bullshit, right? You ain't got to lie to kick it. But practice in the mirror. Practice making sure, on video. I use video. I think the mirror is weird. I don't even like looking in the mirror at the gym. It's just I don't want to be that guy. I was at this place, Orange Theory Fitness. It's a great workout and the great cardio alternative to doing some other stuff. So I joined it. And there's these mirrors in front of you everywhere you go in there. And everybody's all staring at themselves. And I'm I think that's just so weird. I don't know. Could be the fact that I get called a douchebag 100 times a day. And so I'm trying to do the fewest amount of douchebag activities is possible, but apparently that's not easy in this economy. Anyway, so the head nod, make sure your words and your body language line up, specifically your head, because think about it, when the customer is watching you and negotiating with you and talking with you, they are looking in your eyes, they are looking in the head of your direction of your face and at your face and in the direction of your head. So make sure that when you're talking, the shit lines up. The other thing is asking for agreement, right? So here's like a little subtle thing that a lot of salespeople don't do, that's very easy to do, and it's very powerful. And so an agreement is like a trial close, and basically the close is the grand finale in a series of smaller agreements. The close, when they agree to give you money in exchange for whatever it is that you sell, that's like the grand finale, but everything else is just agreements along the way. But here's the thing, agreements are like points. The more agreements you can get along the way, the more points you store up in your favor, so that when you ask for the close, the grand finale appears, you've got enough points on your card to be able to cash it in with the prospect, if that makes sense. So think about this, like when you're doing business with somebody, it's like you're selling them a car, right? Well, you like Fords, right? Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, you said that you were willing to buy today as long as we come to terms, correct? Yes. Awesome. Okay, perfect. And ask them along the way, as you're asking them questions, get them to agree with you. When they ask you questions or when they make statements, get into agreement with them. If they say something that's right, agree with them. If they say something that's wrong, don't agree with them. You see, this works both ways. When you're asking for agreements, like, hey, are you committed to doing this today if we can make the numbers work out? Hey, are you sure that this is when you're going through those closes, you're going through those agreements, if they hit you with questions and want you to agree, if you actually agree with it, make sure they know you agree with it. Because there's this thing about NLP, and the thing about NLP is, it has something to do with, like, I'm going to get weird on you guys. It has something to do with sex. But when you synchronize with somebody else and you agree with them, we are like, because of evolution and stuff like that, especially with the opposite sex, there's like a sexual thing that goes on, and sex ties us to a lot of other stuff. And maybe we should do an episode about that one time, get really freaky on the Hardcore Closer podcast. But in the meantime, when you mirror somebody and you agree with somebody, which mirroring is the head nod, where you're matching them. They're nodding their head yes, you're nodding your head yes. But when you're agreeing with somebody, that just builds some sort of bond. It's something that I had the explanation about the pineal gland and shit like that. I'm out of anatomy conversation for the day, but it fucking does something to where it syncs the two of you up, and it creates a bond that becomes harder to break, which makes it harder to say no. So again, asking for little agreements along the way, and treat each agreement, each time that they agree with you, each time that you agree with them, as points in the bank. It's chips on the poker table. And then when it's time to ask for the close, you scoot all your fucking chips across the table. What's up, man? I'm all in. You ready for this? What? All right. Slide a hand. I use my hands a lot when I talk. No secret there. I bet you could hear my hands flapping around through the fucking radio waves right now. You're like, I bet if you just put a big sweater on me and put me out in the front yard on a windy day and just told me to talk and make a video, I'll fly my cracker ass the fuck out of here, man. I bet you in a heartbeat that's exactly what happened. I bet I can flap the wings. My hands move so fast. I'm like a little hummingbird over here. Anyway, but the thing is, I've gotten good with my hands. I've made sure that my hands do this talking just as effectively as my mouth. Matter of fact, I'm better on video than I am on audio, because my hands do a lot of the speaking for me too. When I'm pointing directions, when I'm telling people about them, I'm pointing to them. When I'm talking about me, I'm pointing at me. When I'm talking about us, I use all these suggestive selling techniques with my hand, because I know that people are watching two things. They're watching my body, and they're watching my mouth when I'm having a conversation to them. And if my hands are it's like little balls of energy. How could I be full of shit if I'm just shooting fireballs with the energy with my hands at you? But at the same time, making my hands and my head in alignment with my words. You see, we're building on this. So the first thing I talked about was the head nod. You got them asking for agreements, and then you're getting your hands. So you're speaking a complete body language at this point. You're forward, you're confident, your hands are moving in the same direction, just reinforcing your words, as well as your head nodding in agreement and synchronization with the person on the other end, the prospect. Dude, that is some powerful shit, man. That's how you get synced up. That's like the thing that Marshall Silver was telling me about. It's like he's a hypnotist, and he's like, here's how hypnotism works. It's an agreement. You say, hey, you just get them to agree with you. When I count to 3, you're going to do this. All right, here's what you do. You're going to lay back. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to do this. And he's just telling people about 15 or 20 different things to do. And they get used to just doing what he says. So then when he says, you're going to do this, boom, they just fall into it. Also, here's another really powerful suggestive selling technique. And that's set the scene with them in it. A lot of us, we start, like, let's say the mortgage guys. I talk about them a lot because they think it's all about rates. You know, a couple of weeks ago, the bond market took a hit. And everybody was, because Donald Trump got elected. Everybody's in the mortgage business. Oh, it's the end of the rates. People don't give a shit about rates. People do not give a shit about rates. When I was a mortgage guy, I would set the scene. I'd say, imagine this, just 30 days from now. You're going to be in your new house. You're going to be moving in. You're going to be kissing your bride, carrying her over the threshold. You're going to have your kids running around in the backyard. Another 30 days after that, you're going to have a swing set built in the backyard. You're going to have this thing exactly the way that you wanted it. All your furniture is going to be there. You're going to be closer to your work. Your wife's going to be happy because she has the dream home. That's what you're looking to get out of this transaction. Correct, sir? Right? I set the scene with them in it. You probably saw yourself there. You're like, hell yeah, house, move wife over the threshold. All that shit makes sense. You start seeing yourself there. You start thinking. You make a decision. Do I want that? Or is that, and most of the time when you come there, I did the same thing with cars, right? I'm selling a convertible. Dude, imagine it's September, it's 75 degrees outside, it's 6 in the evening, the sun's going down, and you just pull the top off this bad boy and listen to the exhaust rumble. You look over at your beautiful wife, you put your hand on her leg, you tell her to make sure that she's got her seatbelt on, you put on the gas a little bit. Get a little aggressive with this bad boy, the wind whipping through your hair. It feels good outside. It makes you feel good that you can have a muscle car like this. So set the scene with them in it, right? Get them to envision themselves enjoying or having the solution or whatever it is to what you sell. And the last one is future pace with them. And what I say is future pace with them is show them the possibilities. You're in the home. You're loving, you set the scene with them in it. You're in the home 60 days later. All your stuff's moved in. 90 days later, your kids are enrolled in school. They're in their first day of school. 180 days later, you're walking around outside. You're putting all the homeowner stuff that you got to do. You're wrapping towels around your trees and you're putting, covers over your water spigots on the outside. Like future pace people. Imagine yourself in this situation, right? Set the scene with them and then show them that it can stay that way. They don't have to just enjoy that one scene that you set with them. Future pace them. Show them that they will exponentially benefit from whatever it is you said. That person's not just going to drive that Mustang once. That person's not just going to walk in that house once. They're going to do these things for the rest of their life. Future pace with you sell insurance, Future pace with them. Imagine something happens to you. Sad as it is, imagine something happens to you. But as you're up in heaven and you're looking down on your family, you realize that you left them with millions of dollars because you made a wise decision. Although they miss you, money fixes a lot of things. You're not leaving them in debt. You're not leaving them in hardship. You're not leaving it up to a GoFundMe account ran by one of their friends out of pity. You were responsible and you took, even though you were taken unfairly out of this planet, you weren't taken away from taking care of your family. That's future pacing somebody. So suggestive selling, if you believe in what the fuck you sell, I feel like you owe it to motherfuckers to sell it to them. And suggestive selling is the way to do that. I'll recap again, the head nod. Make sure your words and your head are in sync. If you're saying yes, shake your head yes. If you say yes and shake your head no, you will blow fucking sales. End of story. Pineal gland, anatomy, all that shit I explained. The threat is real, yo. Next one, ask him for agreement. The close is the grand finale in a series of smaller agreements. You need to treat agreements as if they're points in the bank, right? Every time they agree with you, that's a point. Every time you agree with them, that's a point. Make sure they know that you agree with them. Oftentimes people just agree in their head and assume that they know. No, make sure they know. Sleight of hand. If you've got your head nodding in the right direction, make sure your hands are doing the right speaking as well. Especially for those of you that are handy. You could be wordy. I'm handy. I'm handsy. Is that the word handsy? Ooh, handsy. That sounds, anyway. So handsy. I'm handsy as hell, but I'm going to make sure if my hands are being thrown around, they're thrown in the right direction, a direction of confidence, not a direction of insecurity. Then set the scene, right? Show them that they've got the solution. Everything else that they want, set the scene with them in it. Imagine the top down, driving 70 miles an hour down the freeway as you put your hand on your wife's leg, and then future pace them. It doesn't have to stop there. 6 months later, you come back to the house and you've got all these new shrubs in the front. You finally got the tree pruned the way that you want it to, and you realize that you made the right decision when you decided to buy this home. Right? Future pace, people. So, hey, listen, if you dug this episode, which why the fuck wouldn't you? That would be weird. Some biased shit. Anyway, you're going to love my book, Elevator to the Top. You can get a free paperback copy by going over to elevatortothetop.com. It's free. Just pay for, I'll pay for the book, the most expensive part. You just got to pay a couple bucks for stamps and the little package and shit that they mail it in. So just a couple dollars. Go over to elevatortothetop.com. Share this with a friend. Invite somebody to listen to this episode that need to hear it. I dropped some serious sales knowledge on this one, and there's other people besides yourself. Don't be stingy. Don't be that asshole. But there's other people besides yourself that need to hear this. Make sure you share it with them. If you haven't given me a review yet, please get your ass over to iTunes and leave me a review. How am I going to reach 300 million people if I can't get your help? So again, thanks for listening. We'll check you out next week.